33 years ago this month, news swept around the world about the nuclear accident at 3 Mile Island, and right in the thick of it was the brand new governor of Pennsylvania, Dick Thornburgh. What, you had been in office for how long?
72 days.
72 days. What a baptism under fire.
Learned my way around the Capitol just in time to have to deal with something that never happened on the face of the earth. It was quite a sobering experience.
And dominated, a good part of your first administration. Really, this was still continued to be a focal point.
The aftermath was as much longer than the actual event.
So you look back on it now, a generation ago, 30 years or so, someone who had to really provide the leadership in responding to a crisis like that. What's the lesson you learned about that incident in particular, and nuclear power in general?
From a governing point of view, I think the first and most important lesson I learned was to expect the unexpected. That you really have to have your office, your organization set up so that it can survive your absence for in this case, about 10 days full time, so that the business of government goes on. Secondly, I learned that you're best served, and I was interested to note the same was true of the Japanese government, that you can't rely on the organization chart. You've got to assemble what I called an adhocracy. These are people that I knew, had worked with before, had skills that I was familiar with. And being early in the administration, that was particularly important, and that came to displace every other activity. It reminds me of what President John F. Kennedy did when he relied on his own brother, the Attorney General, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, more than he did on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So those kinds of lessons stick with you and are good entrees into solving the other problems of government as well.
That's a really good point. You look back on it now, of course, that really was, for a long period of time, was the death knell on any new construction of nuclear power plants in the United States. We've just had new plants green-lighted recently, and then came the incident in Japan. I mean, what do you think about nuclear energy as a solution going forward?
There was an eerie similarity, of course, between what happened in Japan and what had happened at 3 Mile Island. Mercifully, we didn't have to deal with an earthquake or a tsunami. That's what raised the ante there. But I think the Japanese are going to have to undergo, and we'll hear from one of their leading utility executives at this symposium, they're going to have to go through the same process of determining what lessons can be learned from events like this, because you can't ignore the fact that no undertaking in the energy field is risk-free. I mean, you're going to have, like the Gulf of Mexico disaster, BP. You're going to have coal mine cave-ins and fires, such as we've seen. You're going to see in every source of energy, you're going to have a risk, and you've got to assess those risks from the point of view of how much are you willing to commit to create a perfectly safe environment. You're never going to create a perfectly safe environment, but those questions, we hope to at least focus on them for the nuclear industry, and as compared with what other sources of energy are there. So that's going to be a central focus of the symposium.
The only couple of minutes left, but I got to ask you, talking about the energy in Pennsylvania and the whole game changer that's happening all around us as a result of the natural gas, the big announcement by Shell that they may consider building a big facility here in our region. When you were in office as governor, that was the beginning of trying to rebuild Western Pennsylvania's economy. You took a lot of the initial first steps that laid the groundwork. How do you react to what seems to be happening around here in our region today?
I'm thrilled, Bill. Just because it's the kind of vision we had for this state in the throes of transferring from a smokestack-based economy when I first came into office to, through efforts like the Ben Franklin Partnership, creating the kinds of relationships between our universities and research facilities and the entrepreneurial community, to see all these new future-oriented businesses developed and providing employment and secure jobs for Pennsylvanians. So I couldn't be more excited about what's going on in Western Pennsylvania today.
And kind of fitting, you're bringing industry and the university and government all together with a forum coming up in a week or so.
You can't beat that combination.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward, I guess, to moderate one of the panels, so it ought to be an exciting opportunity. Thanks for the invitation to do that, and I hope it goes very well. Thanks for bringing it here, bringing it home.
Well, we're excited.
All right, thanks a lot, Governor. And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.